New studies suggest that Americans are starting to feel the strain of the economy. Gen Z says they are particularly feeling these impacts too, with 59% revealing they are stressed or anxious about their finances. NewsNation's Alicia Nieves is here to break down the numbers. So what are you learning today?
I mean, you kind of hit the nail on the head there, right? You're seeing a lot more Americans a bit concerned, a bit more anxious, particularly younger Americans, Gen Z, for example. Another survey kind of backing up the one you just mentioned, one coming out from Harvard, that shows roughly half of all Americans under 30, that's that Gen Z population, they are barely getting by or struggling to make ends meet. Their financial insecurity among this group is even more particularly alarming for young women, young Hispanics, young people without a college degree. They're the first in line kind of getting hit right now by the financial hardships. And two big reasons that economists are pointing for this: persistent inflation, prices of everything have just skyrocketed. And then you have some of these Gen Zers now having to go through student loan repayment, and they're at their early point of their career, the kind of lowest income levels, hopefully, of their careers, and that's making them feel the financial pinch. On top of that, though, I will say this survey is only from last month, so it doesn't even take effect of tariffs and the added cost that we're seeing for this month.
Right, and there are still fears of the recession. The R word is still looming, isn't it? So these are some alarming numbers. What are people who are struggling doing to try to get by?
So we did a story here last month about buy now, pay later, a growing trend for people using that towards groceries. And so LendingTree followed up with us and showed us some data pointing that is increasing. We're seeing about 1 in 4 people who use buy now, pay later, these younger generations, actually using that for groceries. That's a 14% increase from the previous year, and that's even higher. It's 1 in 3 for actual Gen Zers. This now makes groceries the 4th most common version of buy now, pay later or being used for that. And they're not substituting. They're not like doing this instead of the big purchases. They're doing it in addition to it. And so now you have 1 in 4 roughly people who use buy now, pay later having multiple buy now, pay later programs, at least 3 or more. And we're starting to see some defaults on that. 41% is the default rate. That's up 34% from last year.
Wow. I mean, how telling is this when it's just groceries and not like your daughter's prom dress or something that you're going to splurge on, just something that you have to do to survive and make sure you can try to pay your rent too. We knew that these tariffs potentially and just what's going on with the economy would be impacting these sensitive populations more than upper middle class and rich folks for sure. But how can everybody try to recession-proof their finances?
You know, it's interesting because we've only had 14 recessions in the history of this country. Most people, millennials and older, have dealt with one, the last one being the '08 recession, but Gen Z has not. So this is particularly good advice for Gen Z. A lot of financial advisors say, first of all, sit down, budget yourself. Start to look at your overall budget, X out some of those wants, get down to your bare bones needs so that you can start saving up 3 to 6 months of income for potential recession if you lose your jobs, or your job, whatever it takes to keep the roof over your head, get some food, and just those bare bone, minimal needs here. You also want to avoid big purchases if you can. If you're gonna have to make a big purchase, think about the secondhand market. I'm a fan of Facebook Marketplace. You can get some really good, deals there. And the last thing I would say that a lot of people advise is if you don't have to dip into that 401k, do not, because as you know right now, financial markets have pulled back, and so it's a huge loss to your future if you have to do that.
Look, you and I both do reporting during the week, too. You're going to be filling in for Laura Ingle later today, but one of my stories this week was about thrifting and how that is on the rise.
I saw that. That was great.
And later in this show, we're going to be interviewing the CEO of Poshmark, which is, of course, secondhand that you can buy online. So thank you so much, and have a great show. We'll see you at 10 o'clock.
Of course.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.